Hey everybody, I'm
Or
here with Catdraggon from PyschSurf Radio. How are you?
doing well, doing well. How about yourself? Glad to be here.
Me too. Now we recently connected, and I'm very stoked. We joked about that. I'm really stoked about having you on because having when I have somebody on radio, they kind of have a wider scope of what's happening, and the fact that you're doing surf is like a important piece of the puzzle. So I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself, a little about your transition to Portugal, and what Psych Surf Radio is.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to share. So it's actually a bit of a newer project. It's about, I'd say, like 3 or 4 months old. But let me do a quick intro on like who I am first and the history of like how Psych Surf Radio came into fruition. So I'm Cat
Absolutely.
Dragon. I am a musician, multi instrumentalist, excuse me, of psychedelic and surf rock, right? And so I've been in a musician in multiple bands covering Motown to jazz to blues, but I always come back home to like psychedelic and surf rock. I grew up in Southern California, so my family grew up with all of the Endless Summer soundtracks. Some of
Ah,
that
yeah.
70s, yeah, that 70s instrumental type of surf documentary, groovy sounds. Just that's what we listened to. My family would watch Endless Summer and Endless Summer 2 every year. It's like an annual tradition, and so that type of music was exposed to early on. And also, my grandpa was in some rock bands growing up as well, and would do some like surf rock. So early exposure. Fast forward to doing the whole classical training on piano and multiple other instruments. Still kept coming home to like psychedelic and surf rock, and so was in the techno world. This is where it gets a little interesting. Was in the techno world actually as a DJ, doing DJ shows, electronic production, synthesizers, all that jazz. But again, it didn't hit home like surf rock does. So for example, if I play like a '60s mellotron like type of organ, have that with a guitarist, like there's something that hits home about that. And so if you tie that background with a lot of travel around the world for work, going to different surf spots, right? Like South Africa, for example, or to Tamarama Beach in Sydney, I was able through these travels to get a lot of exposure into different musical cultures that kind of power
Oh,
the local
nice.
surf spots. And so again, I've been all over the world. Again, Mexico, Costa Rica, different parts of Peru, and the music that powers not only like the current generation of surfers, but like you'll see some of the older generations that go back into like the endless summer era of music. So for example, in Peru, you have a lot of that chicha, psychedelic '60s rock, whereas in South Africa, it's more of the old Afro like psychedelic rock, similar to Zam rock, right? If you're familiar with that, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
the whole idea of Psych Surf Radio was to bridge surf rock, but also with some of the more psychedelic, um, hazier type of grooves, into one channel where we pick a country or a surf spot. Essentially, it's myself and one of my closest friends who's also a surfer. We try to source each episode or each mix with like artists, either current or more like retro, from that local region or that local community, and then trying to build a community or a collective of musicians as well that want to showcase their surf rock for a respective country. And so the most recent one was Japan. So the first episode that we launched was covering Japan,
Nice.
where there I was touring around Japan for work, and also checking out the local like surf spots and stuff, but also going to the different record stores, and seeing what the '60s, '70s rock, surf rock era was, and then just doing a quick Instagram search and seeing like what type of current surf artists are out there now, and kind of fusing the two together. It's an hour-long mix, and so it's a really exciting project. And so every month, like I'm trying to do an open call where I'm like, hey guys, we're going to be focusing on this country. Or if you have a lot of tracks and you're a musician and you have an album that you want to release, happy to share it. And then we can amplify and like cross promote. So that's that in a nutshell.
That's that's amazing. and
Yeah.
and, and a great. I think once people see this interview, I think they're gonna realize like, wow, there is like Spike from the Hula Girls travels. He has his own like Tiki channel where he travels and does Tiki culture, but also talks about surf music.
Yeah.
And his band is also amazing. But the angle you're coming from is you're coming from a surfer angle, and how the music influences it, that influences the music all around the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So tell me about Australia, because I've interviewed as much as I can because it's just of scheduling, like Martin Cilia, the Rats, Jamie Palcombe from um, Dodge City Social Club, and
Yep.
I'm trying to get more there because they're just fun. It's a fun group of folks down there.
Oh yeah.
So, and I'm sure if you haven't, once you dig into the scene in Italy, that'll open up like a whole bunch of
Yes. Yeah.
surf and garage.
Yes.
That it's a quite a
Oh, I love it.
oh, it's wonderful there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Australia, I think, was probably one of the longest trips. Like, it's one of my favorite places in the entire world. Like, even growing up, I was always drawn to like a lot of like Aussie bands. I mean, it all started like with, AC/DC and those like that era of Australian bands, right? From like really gritty rock. But even going back there a couple of times for work again, did the whole like East Coast trip, starting from Sydney, going all the way up to I'm saying you're at Cairns, down to Melbourne. And not only the surf spots are like, pristine, they're like, every surfer's dream, right? In terms of like tubes and barrels and whatnot, and just like consistent, persistent, like, wave sets. The music, I think even in the early 2000s with the rise of like Tame Impala, like he was bringing back that psychedelic 60s style, right? And he'll do
Yeah.
some like some surf chords, but it's a fusion of both. So I remember asking some friends around who, in the surf community being like, yeah, what are you guys listening to? It's a lot of like punk rock. So there's like, I would call it maybe like neo-punk. So the band that comes to mind is called Constant Mongrel. It's less surf and it's more like punk, right? It's just gritty, it's raw, and they're a lot of smaller bands, and these guys are like all surfers too. And so you'll see, for example, there was one night where my friend was photographing a band concert of like some surf rocks and psych rock guys, and these guys were all surfers, and they literally just came in from the beach, put on a show. Some of them still had like surf shorts and whatnot on, no shoes, and it was just like such a vibe. Like it brought me back home to like Southern California. But then if you go up on the coast, like up to the north near the rainforest, and even like in the center parts of the country, you still have like this sense of for rock, right? Like the country, some amazingly like talented musicians, but there are quite a few also like really dope girl rock bands as well. Less
Oh
surf,
yes.
but more psychedelic. So like Moaning Lisa, I'm trying to think. They're one of my favorites.
I know this is
Yeah.
I know this is New Zealand, but I'm like obsessed with the Beths right now. Do you know who they
Yeah,
are?
yes, yes.
Oh my god! Like I'm like, did they make they haven't made a bad album yet?
I know. Like those are the like deep cuts, or like the rare. We like to call them rare finds. Like it's my friend and I, and we'll be like, oh my gosh, and you'll play this like album on repeat, and you're like, give me
Yeah,
another release, have another album, guys, come on. But yeah, Australia I think has some of the best like psych and surf rock like bands out
yeah,
there. It's like a
yeah.
treasure trove. So
I
yeah,
I remember when I first heard the Saints because I had like a punk rock background,
yeah,
and I first heard the Saints. I'm like, these guys sound like they're from New York. Like,
yeah,
I mean, they really, really. That just shows you that rock and roll has no boundaries.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So you travel. What is the reason for your travel? I know you surf, and everybody wants to do their passion, but as far as like your day to day, like what is your means to get there? What's your job that allows you to travel?
Yeah, I've worked at the cross section of technology and finance. And so when you work in technology, for example, at one of these companies, you often have offices like all around the world. So, for example, like working in the investment realm, depending on the firm, but a lot of the companies that we invested in are Latin America, Australia, and there's also conferences as well. So some of the bigger tech conferences you'll find in London, some of them you'll find in Singapore. And so, being the one that's always like, yeah, I'll go. I volunteer for tribute has been, I would say, like a blessing, and also a really cool, yeah, like adventure to kind of take on. You meet a lot of people, and even at these conferences, you'll meet some other musicians as well. Like for example, we were just in Huntington Beach for a work retreat, and there was a cover band of the Beach Boys there. And these guys were legit. Like someone was literally doing that like on the
Yeah.
guitar, that OG sound, and it was phenomenal. And so you get exposed to a lot.
Yeah, that was that a what is it? Was that a Huntington Beach Pier show like the Surfin Sundays?
It was at one of the bigger resorts where the conference was, and so I forget the name of the band. They didn't have an Instagram, but yeah, it was on one of the Cabo Wabo like patio type of um,
Okay, uh,
yeah, balconies or performance places. Yeah.
that's awesome. I I had the privilege of going to SG 101 in 2022, and we were still coming like out of COVID in the United States, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like I mean it's kind of really gotten tons of bands now, but I got to see some of the great bands and bands I had never
Oh,
heard of and met a ton of people. And I wish I could go to the Surfer Joe Festival
yeah.
in Italy and the one up in Belgium. I keep forgetting the name,
Yep.
and I apologize.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
Endless Surf Festival, I think that's what it's called.
Yep. Yep.
But so this is very interesting. Um, I'm very very happy that you're out there doing this.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
I'm glad that you go out there and do that, and I'm glad that you kind of explained how it is you do that. But tell everybody what exactly Psych Surf Radio is.
Yeah. So Psych Surf Radio, it's a radio show where bi-weekly we release a new mix. Again, where we focus on a local geography. So for example, we have this map actually that, kind of guides us on like, ooh, what type of geography or region will we cover today? And I don't know if you've ever seen those like surf spots of the world map, but that's essentially what we have.
Yeah.
And so it also depends on like the type of content that we have too. So with every episode, again, like there's, for example, South Africa, we'll pick and curate like a mix, and then record that mix and then release it. And what I mentioned, I think is like another really cool thing is that like if we have connections to the local surf rock community from there, we'll be like, hey, we're doing a mix. Any artists want to put your track or your song or a couple of groovy beats like up on the next mix, and we do a heads up. And so now we had some demand, like especially here in Europe, that we had to create a form now to strategically plan like what mix and what country we're going to do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of having its own movement, right? Which is super cool.
That's
We
the
have a lot of
that, that's the
a lot of
idea.
folks from Brazil, a lot of folks from Brazil that are
Oh
like, yeah,
yes, I
yep,
love I love
yeah,
those people. They're
yeah.
so kind.
Yeah. And then we have a couple of bands from Argentina as well. And so get ready for some more like Latin American sounds, that cover now, but all the way like from the original like 60s psych
Yeah.
rock era as well. So it's really exciting. But radio show, you can currently find the episodes on YouTube. We're trying to explore other options to do more like live, like where it's more, if you think of some of the just live streaming 24/7, that takes a lot of time and effort. So, yeah, baby steps first. But it's really cool to see the growth of the mixes and the shows, and just the how do you say, like the feedback and the welcoming vibe
Yeah.
of the community. So
I,
yeah,
I do have some people that you could reach out to that could
yeah,
really help you kind of expand your
yeah,
audience.
yeah.
Um, But what is your handle on YouTube? Can you send me a link to that, and then I'll put it in the description?
Yeah, it's youtube.com/PyschSurf So let me, oops, PyschSurf Radio. We also have a website, PyschSurfradio.com. Let me pop this in here. Okay.
Bands will flood. You know, the bands that you haven't met yet. Once they hear about you, once they hear about you on YouTube, that'll be. Then you'll have too much mail.
Yeah, I think no, that's great. And I think another thing is also like, myself and then my pal Val, who goes by Malaria Valeria, that's her like solo project. She does more of the like content creation. So
Okay.
so one interesting thing is that a lot of bands either don't have the time or maybe don't know how to create like I don't know.
Yep.
I feel like everything is short form video nowadays. And so we take that on where, we'll pick a couple of the bands and then as part of it, we'll create some videos for you to share, to promote. You guys just have to give us the input of like what kind of footage you want. And then another interesting thing that's also kind of popping up organically is that we have some connections to like surf photographers and videographers as well, that want to share and showcase their footage. And so it's very like how do you say, like an active or an organic outreach of people wanting to help us, and then we help them with like amplification and give them shout outs and credits of, and for example, like there was one from he was a cinematographer from Japan. He's also a surfer originally from the UK. If you check out his footage, it's called Japan Surf. But the footage he gets from the surf spots in Japan, I mean, you would never know about these like, footage or the type of waves or the
Yeah.
swell they have there unless you had someone who was there on the ground. And so he was kind enough to let us use some of the footage there. Shout out to Japan Surf, by the way, if you want to follow him, and his awesome videos and surf tips and whatnot. So, and we have this like across Australia, California, Costa Rica. So it's really cool to kind of see the community come together and really support one another and the musicians as well.
It sounds very your YouTube channel sounds very familiar, very close. I mean, different, but similar to what I'm doing on YouTube. Whereas
Yeah.
I'm exposing people like behind the music that you wouldn't normally see, and listening to them, but connecting people. Um, but they also get to do their promotion on my channel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of the things the bands hate is doing promotions, which
Yep.
so I'm like, well, I want to do that. Like that's exactly what I
Yeah.
do. Like just let like give your ideas to me or give me your videos to me and we'll put it up and like then you share it
Yeah.
everywhere. So
Yeah. Yeah. We love that.
so I totally get what you're doing. And now, do you have a designated time each day, or you said twice a week?
Yeah. Bi-weekly. Yep. For now.
So what days and times are those Portugal time?
Usually Friday morning or Friday evening our time, when the US starts to come online is when we'll like release a new mix. And it again the algorithm. So you have to, depending on like how much engagement you want, you got to figure out like the launch times. We try to get it done like on Friday, so that way you can listen to it on your early morning commute, or you can listen to it like if you're cooking or you have like opened a bottle of wine or something, crack open a cold one here evening time in Europe, or if you're partying in Asia. So. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So you're on Instagram, which is how I found you. Do you have a Facebook? You have a Facebook page?
We don't have a Facebook page. Yeah, we can spin that up right now. I think we're starting small, but yeah, that's on the docket. And then also like TikTok. I mean, I feel a bit ancient saying like, what's that? But
No, no,
it's
no,
a
no,
thing. So.
no. Well, there's a lot of like Surfer Joe,
Yeah,
Sis Malakians on there.
yeah,
I know San Ana Bay Coconuts are on there.
yep.
I'm on there, but it's kind of limited what I do just because I'm learning it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm gonna start sharing your stuff. So
Thanks.
now that I have your, send me the link so I can copy and paste it on this video,
Yes, we'll do.
and then we'll try to connect you to the other people. There is a cool station that Ken Sacco from The Door into Summer and
Mm-hmm.
the Sandbanks band.
Yeah.
He started a radio called Stoke Surf Radio.
Love it.
So he's gathering all these podcasters and radio shows, and he's giving them time slots.
Amazing. Okay.
So he's a good guy to get in contact with. He's looking for things like what you're doing right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's only audio at the time,
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
but I would love to get some of your stuff like
Yeah.
collaborate
Yes,
on
yes, yes.
something. I don't know how or what we would do, but I love collaborating with other content creators and musicians
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. I feel so lucky to have come across your Instagram page, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you're doing. Now, my last question is, why did you end up in Lisbon?
Ah, yeah. So the famous Portugal question. So actually, it was for work. So the pandemic happened, right? I think we all know that. And at the time, I was based in San Francisco. And I hail originally from Southern California, Orange County, LA. I thought, okay, do I want to go back? Because at the time, there was a little unstable, like socially. There were some not
Yeah.
necessarily full on riots, but I was like, I don't know that I want to go back there. And so for work at the time, they were opening up an office in Lisbon, and quite a few folks from the States were going there to do like a temporary, work thing, digital nomad type stuff. And yeah, I fell in love with the country. It felt a lot like Los Angeles. And the people were kind. And at the time, also, I was really sick. I was one of those people that, had COVID, and it just took a toll on your immune system. And so I wanted, a quality of life change where workaholism wasn't like the modus operandi, right? Where it was like,
Yeah.
let's focus on quality of life. And also because every musician knows that when you're burned out, you cannot create. And if you do have that superpower, props. But I was recovering from, COVID and also Lyme disease, unfortunately. And so
Oh my.
yeah, and so I switched, and the quality of life, like where you sign off at a reasonable hour, don't devote your whole life to work. I mean, work is great, it's awesome, and I'm very grateful, that I've been able to work in the fields that I have. But I was like, how can I really carve out time in my day in a culture that allows for that, and in a environment that allows for that, where I have a music studio I can go and I can jam on the keys, or the marimba here, and just kind of feed and nurture that creative side back to a sense of normalcy. So that's why I've been here for a couple of years now, and yeah, I love it. For me, it's home, but LA will always be home. But like, this is my European home. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
And you seem very energetic and happy, and
yeah,
you get to pursue your passion. I know I'm kind of being vague in here, but I'm trying to let you
good.
explain the details
Yeah,
you know I think that's a good lesson for everybody. And I know it's more of a European thing where like the quality of life is kind of what's important. And
yeah,
I think here it's kind of the other way around. But for me it was. I worked in television, and
yeah.
90% of my time was at
Woo,
the studio. And
exactly.
I'm a musician, so it's kind of like, well, now I can't play my guitar.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So here it's been great because Catdraggon is like, it's my psychedelic surf cumbia rock project. So that's me as an artist
Oh,
where,
cumbia.
yeah. So I focus a lot on the 60s Latin sounds. So it's a fusion of not only psych rock and surf rock, but also the chicha from, the Peruvian styles. And my family, coming from Southern California, was all Mexican as well. And so I fuse in that like retro cumbia sounds, like in a
Yeah.
lot of the Catdraggon sounds. So if you think of like Santana's Abraxa album, like that's a lot of the stuff that even living here and kind of creating space and resting my mind and creative side has started to come through. And so it's really exciting. Yes.
It's kind of, it's like you're at peace
Yeah,
with everything.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I totally get it. So I do want to know what instruments you play, how you were. I mean, it sounds like you're classically trained. Is that correct?
Yeah, piano. So played for over 10 years. Actually, I credit my mom, and it's interesting because in my family growing up, a lot of the women were musical savants, and I say savants because like for example, my mom did study accordion for a couple years, but she could play Flight of the Bumblebee. Like hadn't played for like 3 decades, picks it up at a pawn shop and was like, and you're just like, I'm sorry, what? What was that? What? Sorry, what? Whereas like on my father's side, the women, so my grandma was a professional flamenco dancer, ballroom dancer, and then her aunties were also in traditional Mexican bands that played all across like Los Angeles, like classical Mexican, we call it like San Jarocho. So it's more of that, like usually has a harp. There's usually like a few guitarists and whatnot. And so that's all in the blood. Yeah, so started out, playing by ear. I think I was like 7 or so when I heard a Beethoven song and I was trying to play like the melody. And my grandma was like, you need to be in lessons. So started to do the lessons, started to do the whole, like, you learn the basics all the way up to Chopin, and then you graduate to like Rachmaninoff, which is where, high school comes around and all you want to do is like think about fitting in and being cool and listening to like Deftones and AC/DC, right? So, stopped training piano, but, in and out, like I always wanted to learn different like instruments. And so when I was spending a lot of time in South Africa, I took some marimba lessons and was able to play some like really cool jams on different types of
Oh,
marimbas down
nice.
there. My grandma taught me how to use castanets, the flamenco dancer, right? And so I'm not great at that, but it's just like it's a different sound of like percussions, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then my grandpa, who used to be in a band growing up, he had all these congas and bongos like around the house. So we'd always like blah, 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 blah. And then, through being in bands in Los Angeles and San Francisco and even here, I just play naturally percussions. I do the YouTube, tutorials. And then I'm trying to think harmonica. In fact, it's on my pipe dream list is to go to this harmonica camp in Alabama, where Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil. Like, yeah, so talk to me about the harp. Like, oh my God, I love the blues. And then I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah, I can play guitar. I usually prefer electric and just melody, not lead. So, hopefully
Nice.
we'll get to lead one day. But yeah, a lot of just different,
Wow.
yeah, instruments.
That's awesome. My family, of course, comes from it's a very musical family on my mother's side. My grandfather, accordion, harmonica,
Nice.
piano, uh, was a traditional like most part like German polka, kind of Polish, Polish and German polka traditional. My of course my mother was into Motown and soul.
Love it.
My dad was a DJ, and not only was he a DJ, but he was a program director and an engineer, and he knew how to climb the tower and give it a knock. Like
Okay.
so,
Impressive.
if you're surrounded by that,
Yeah.
and my uncles played in surf bands when they were young.
Yeah.
Johnny and the Patriots.
Nice. Oh, I love it. I love it.
So I can appreciate that. Like when you grow up around it, it just kind of sinks into your skin.
Yep. Yeah, by
Yeah,
osmosis.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So I'm gonna send you I'm gonna send you those links now that I have your email to
Amazing.
Stoke Surf Radio and
Let's do it.
some other people you can connect with in the states. There's also Reverb Brazil. Leopoldo puts on the festival there.
Okay.
He knows everybody. Um,
Okay.
so so let's trade what we know. I'll send you a bunch of people to reach out to, and
Yeah.
um, thank you so much
No,
for
thank
coming
you.
on. Like To be honest with you, I have like 30 episodes a season, and I send out about 250 unsolicited asks for people to
Hey.
come, and that's only how many I get per season. So it's 250 new bands that I haven't asked before, and
Yeah.
and I'm on my 10th season. So you can only imagine how many bands are out there.
Yes, yes, yes. I feel honored, and yeah, I'm happy to be an evangelist and a champion of promoting really good talent and really good sounds. Let's do it.
Please join our Patreon page to get special behind the scenes footage and segments exclusive to Patreon, YouTube updates, also a sneak peek of what's coming next week, merch, and also services, free flash drive exclusively for segments in the band.